to do this. This meeting will now come to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. God bless America, and God bless Lakeridge. Lisa, the roll call.
Mary Adler,
Present.
Stella Torres-Willia,
Present.
Michael Messina,
Present.
Barbara Wells,
Present.
Michelle Williams,
Present.
Ed Whitman.
Present.
Approval of the, approval of the open board minutes of July 21st is needed. Second.
Second.
And approved. Mary seconded. So be it. And now I will give you the President's report. We are finalizing the installation of a laser vehicle automation system, which is a decal that is affixed to all registered vehicles of Lakeridge residents for entry into the community. The tennis courts have been repaired and modified to allow for pickleball courts, which will be christened tomorrow. The players are very happy with the results and look forward to a continued great season. We are finalizing with Marion Security the hiring of a patrol service on a part-time basis to check on parking and other violations, starting at 12 o'clock p.m. Also, it appears that we are on track for the reinstatement of the night gatekeeper, hopefully for September the 1st. We have been in discussion with the Orthodox Jewish residents of Lakeridge regarding their request to install a mechanical gate at our Wrightsville location if approved. The gate will be accessible only during specific holy days and times. The Orthodox Jewish residents will be given an access code. The gate would be locked at all other times with a second lock. Keys to the lock will be held by Lakeridge staff. Guests are not allowed to enter. They must enter through the Route 70 entrance as always. Residents found violating this rule will be subject to a penalty to be determined. Questions and answers will be at the later meeting. May I have a motion on the grounds, rules, and procedures?
Myself move.
May I have a discussion, Ed?
First of all, thank you for coming. First of all, thank you for coming. I am the liaison from the board to the grounds committee. And in accordance with the general revision of policies and procedures for Lakeridge, the grounds committee undertook a look at its own rules and regulations and has basically reaffirmed the existing policies, including the standing permission to Lakeridge residents to walk into the woods, but not the only changes, but not the retention basins. The retention basins, even though we are dry, we have been fairly dry this summer, those retention basins are still quite, well, spongy. And it's quite dangerous footing to be entering into the retention basins. So only Lakeridge personnel, Taylor Management, and other contractors may enter the retention basins. As far as walking in the woods, however, while residents do have the right to do that, please recognize that doing so infringes on the privacy of the neighbors who may back onto those woods. And so we would ask you to have respect and courtesy with regard to your neighbors who back onto the woods. Another thing to consider is that it's probably not a very good idea to walk in the woods under any circumstances. The woods are dangerous. They are filled with limbs and other things to trip on, and you might fall. And whether or not you're sure-footed and don't fall, the woods have dangerous things in them. Among the most dangerous are ticks. Ticks carry a variety of very serious diseases, Lyme being only the most notable. So we would ask you to avoid walking in the woods unless absolutely necessary. You have the right, but on occasion it's probably not a good idea to utilize the right. So the grounds committee is reaffirming, and you have a policy there, I think, with you on your seats, as to what the new regulation actually is not new. It's simply a reaffirmation of the existing regulation, with the exception of the retention basins. Okay, thank you.
And we have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Any opposed? May I have a motion on the cupola vents? May I have a motion on the cupola vents? May I have a motion to accept?
What's the motion?
I will second. Barbara for next one.
Barbara?
What I know is that there's cupola vents around the top of the building, the top of the building. Mike,
All right, I'll help out. There are 11 cupola vents on the roofs, and some of them have broken. If you're on the pool side, they will most notice while you're in the pool. So all of these vents have been replaced. This is just a documentation that a motion is passed and second, it's done. The job has been done. So all of the vents have been replaced, so birds can't enter into the area.
Why are we voting on it? We've done already.
Just to memorialize it, because it was not memorialized at the previous meeting, and someone brought that to our attention.
And it's necessary for us to ask the vote, to give you the vote, because for us to do this, it's a part of procedure. They work fast. We couldn't believe it. They're so fast. So you're one of the fast ones, and it's done. So it's just for, as he said, to memorialize. Anyway, all in favor? Yes, we were.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. So it's passed. May I have a motion on the revision of the Article 8.8 temporary structure? May I have a motion to accept? Second?
I'm seconding it, then you'll get the discussion. We're motioning, and then you'll get the
If you
discussion.
have any questions after the meeting, that's what the question and answer period is for. It's not for this right now. If you can't hear me, I'm sorry. We don't know what else to do to turn it up. Okay, so, as he said, Barbara, can you tell us a bit about the motion? If you would all just wait until we give you the information.
yes, I'm going to be giving a report on it in a few minutes, and you all have the paperwork, and we'll discuss it after the meeting, after the meeting, and questions and answers.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I might add, if you're wondering, it's you haven't there, but there's been a slight revision to the ARC rule, and we gave it to you. Still can't hear?
Closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now? I just have to talk loud. That shouldn't be hard for me. Can you all hear me now? All right. Did you hear what I said? No. Okay. I said you all have the revision on the ARC rule. There are two there. This is on the ARC rule. And we have to pass it to accept it, and then you are informed of it, and now you have received it. If there are any other questions, wait till the question and answer period. The Vice President's report, please.
Hi, I'm going to be reporting on 3 things. We'll start off with, we have the solar ad hoc committee that had a meeting just this week. The committee met with a possible vendor to get into more detail as the possibility of obtaining solar panels to put in place to offset electrical costs of the clubhouse as well as the annex. This was tried a few years ago, and we're reevaluating that. There are new state incentives that we may be able to capitalize. Paul Lee is chairing this ad hoc committee, and other vendors will be met with so as to get a minimum of 2 or 3 different perspectives. Then we will sort this information out for the possible savings to reduce the electrical costs. And I want to tell you that at this point, it may be with little or no outlay of money from us. Things have changed. Okay, all of these perspectives from the various companies will then be shared with our finance committee for analysis before we do anything else. So we're just doing some groundwork here to see if we can capitalize on new programs for solar. Okay, the fence. The fence project is proceeding. There are some unexpected delays to the fence project due to the size of the project. And when I say the size, the township, when they heard it was 3,000 linear feet, it puts it into a whole different kind of ballgame. Normally, a house may only be about 300 linear feet. This is 10 times that. Okay. That being said, there are 2 township boards that our project will need to go through for final approval of the project. These obstacles can possibly delay the project. Are you ready? 4 to 6 months. This is from the township. Okay? We have recruited a zoning attorney as well as an architectural survey company to aid us in getting through the township process. We have already done the surveying, and if you go out Massachusetts, you can see these little flags that are out there. That's part of the process. Massachusetts in itself has a whole set of township rules about the fence configuration as it has a frontage to a main street. So we feel that we can get there. There are setback rules of 40 feet, which we have, and we will be, it's different from the Lennox project. Okay. We have met with some of the residents on the Massachusetts side already in preparation for the project moving forward, and we set up a meeting just to discuss what type of fence and how it will look to the residents that are right there. It's going to be in their backyard kind of, right? And also, we have a frontage. We don't want this to look nasty, for lack of better words. So we're trying to get, the white PVC fence pretty on either side, a few sections, so that we have a nice presentation. And then it will go off into the chain link fence as it's a tree line. So we're meeting with the residents to get their input as well, as it will be in their backyards. The last thing I'm going to speak to you about is the pool. So we've had our challenges with lifeguards. And those that use the pool, especially the indoor pool, know this very well. So you will be notified when a special town hall meeting will be held in late September. And And this meeting will deal with the possibility of going without lifeguards, both for the indoor and possibly the outdoor pools. We want to get residents involved with this. We've had numerous concern sheets and complaints about the pool not being hooked up. A full analysis will be presented in regard to the benefits of going without lifeguards, as well as the financial and the new liability concerns with going forward with this potential plan. Put it simply, there are pros and cons to doing this. And we want to get the community involved so you fully understand what the pros and cons are. Because it's very easy to say, we just want to do away with lifeguards and extend the hours, but we need to understand what we're committing to. Okay, and all of this will be done with your help at the town hall meeting, and again, that will be coming out when we'll be doing that meeting in late September. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. Mary, financial report, please.
Okay. Okay, for the 7 months ending July 31st, 2022, our net income of $163,182 was better than our budget by $62,523. The principal factors that contribute to these favorable variances were surplus carryover from 2021 was $54,289, better than the budget. That is because last year we didn't have any snow in December, and lower expenses on the budget for the fourth quarter. Resales were better, 39 versus 29, which is an improvement of $14,000. And these two factors alone is accountable for our better statement. Our expenses were $26,803. Okay, these numbers is hard for me to read. Our expenses were $1,280,096 compared to a budget of $1,306.89, which was $26,802 better than the budget for the period. The favorable variants include the lower costs of landscaping, grounds costs, and staff management expenses. Lower security costs, which of course is going to go away come September when our new guard comes back. The clubhouse and annex was lower, like over $9,000. There was partial offsets but we had very high pool expenses this quarter. $18,404 to fix all the different things that went on top building that won't happen for a while. Our cash and investment funds total approximately $4.1 million, most of which are in the replacement fund, which has current balance of approximately $3 million. The next stage of our old replacement is underway, and this will require the outlay of funds from the replacement fund for approximately another $1 million for the year coming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Ed, Secretary's report, please.
Okay, I'm going to report on two things. The Firewise program is the subcommittee of the Grounds Committee, and that subcommittee is being headed up by Norm Leibowitz. The committee consists of the members of Barbara Eli, Mike Gallagher, Joan Greenberg, and Charlie Thyler. So they are considering how to move forward to minimize the fire danger posed by our common areas. Part of the problem of that is that many of our common areas are not entirely owned by Lakeridge, and the effect of that is no matter how much we were to clean up on our side of the property line, if the other side of the property line is not cleared up, our efforts would be, to say the least, less than ideally effective. So they're looking into that, and they'll try to do the best they can to minimize the fire danger that we're all aware of because of that recent fire down by Lowe's last year. It was quite devastating. committee is up and functioning. The second issue I want to address in connection with the grounds committee is to go over and explain the process whereby your concern sheets are dealt with. We want to make sure that we close the loop, and that any concern sheets you submit with regard to grounds is dealt with promptly, and that you get feedback on it. So the process is that when you submit a grounds concern sheet, if there's something wrong with your trees or shrubs or bushes in the common area, a member of the grounds committee will go out and make an initial assessment of that, and then come back to the grounds committee to seek approval, or at least a decision whether or not to approve the work. If the grounds committee does approve the work, a work order will be sent to the board for its decision. We have to decide, whether or not we can afford to do what it is that's being asked. And if the board approves, then a work order will be sent to the office so that David or whoever we assign to do that actual job will get the work order. In either case, whether the work order issues or we decide that it's not, that we can't do it, the loop will be closed, and either I or a member of the grounds committee will return to the homeowner and explain what's going to be done or not done and why it can't be done. So we will try to close the loop in the most effective way possible so that you know what's going to happen when you submit a concern sheet. So, okay, well, thank you. Oh, by the way, I do want to say one thing about that Firewise committee. Those are all volunteers, as all our committees are volunteers. The committees and clubs are run that make Lakeridge the place that we want to live in, and they're all run by volunteers. So I think we need to give them a good vote of thanks for their generous efforts on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Barbara, Director of Large Report, please.
Good evening and thank you for coming. Can you hear me? I'm a liaison for ARC and Docs and Policies. Along with Ed, we will be working on the concern sheets, the views, and the welcome packet. Concern sheets are submitted to management, where they go to ARC, grounds, the board, or whoever handles that particular concern. Each committee or department has their own process. Eventually, it will end up with Ed and me, in which we will follow up to make sure that the homeowner's concern was addressed and it was taken care of. We are just putting this concern procedure together, but you'll be hearing from us by phone or email as soon as we get the final status of the concern sheet. Tonight we passed out the ARC Rule A8 structure, temporary structure revision. A8A is an ARC permitted temporary structure with restrictions. We will have the questions and answers at the end of the meeting. The Docs and Policies Committee is working on the bylaws, rules, and regulations. They are updating them to get them made more current. Charlie Rotz and Bill Cohen work together with their committees, and they all do a great job. As they finish a policy, a rule and regulation, or a bylaw change, it then goes to the board. Sometimes the board has questions or changes, so it goes back to the committee. Otherwise, we pass it. Or sometimes it has to go to the attorney for approval. It then goes to the HOA, and that's you. This, at times, can be a lengthy process. I personally, along with the board of directors, would like to thank all the volunteers who take their time to make this HOA even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Michelle, Manager's Report.
Hello. A little bit of feedback, but we appreciate your patience. You know, these are brand new microphones, so sometimes it takes a little tweaking to get it right. especially in a room this large and with this many with the attendance so high. So we appreciate that. We do have a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if it's from mine or Bella's that's on, but we appreciate it. I want to start with the bus service. We do have a shuttle bus service here in Lakeridge, and it's provided by King's Transportation. And King's Transportation called 2 or 3 weeks ago and said that they are no longer going to supply shuttles. Manpower and cost is part of it. They do a lot of corporate shuttles, and they make about 4 times the amount per day on corporate shuttles than they do on community shuttles. So it's not Lakeridge, it's wherever they're doing shuttles, they're going to end it. They would have liked to end it right away. He said, I can give you 30 to 60 days. I asked him for at least a 60 days so we could try and make accommodations for those that need to get to the grocery store. He did agree to that, which would give us till the end of September. He was providing us with a couple of other bus companies that may be able to provide the shuttle. I am in conversation with one right now. We're trying to finalize a price. And then Aaron did some homework for us and spoke to it. It's actually by coincidence, but I thought it'd be nice if residents would meet some of the vendors that service Lakeridge occasionally. And we had asked for Ocean County to come in and talk to residents about some of the offerings that they have. And they're going to be here in September. But Aaron also spoke to the Toms River Senior Center, and they were in Lakeridge, from what I understand, prior to COVID. Wednesdays at noon, starting September 7th, they can take residents to Stop and Shop for a 90-minute shop. There are some limits on bags and carts and so forth, but we'll put it all together. It's just, you'll have to really watch Channel 26 and listen for the robocalls, because by the time, 22, I'm sorry. By the time this comes to fruition is going to be the end of September, so we want to give you as much notice as possible and what other options are out there for you. But Ocean Ride does offer, within 10-mile radius, anywhere you want to go by reservation, and it's a $3 trip, $3 going, $3 returning. But they'll give you a lot more information when they come next month. But just so you have a heads up on what's happening, they're not going to provide the service anymore. Let's see, Aaron also worked very hard on the flu vaccines and so forth, but Ocean County, if you need any information, just reach out to her tomorrow. They have a homebound COVID and flu vaccine program. So if you know someone who's not able to make it to the clubhouse when they get vaccines, although it's not COVID, they will go to their home. So if you need that information, please give us a call and we'll help you with that. Paving is completed. Line striping is in the works, and concrete replacement. Grounds Committee, as I stated last month, were very helpful. They went out to all areas of Lakeridge and gave us their evaluation of concrete. We put the list together, and John Rothberg's gone out. I've gone out and looked at it. Lisa and I did a full evaluation. John Rothberg from Rothberg's Paving's gone out, and he'll start the concrete replacement. And someone also had a concern about the concrete under the benches at the pond. So I had him take a look at that too, and they'll replace that also. Monuments. The board is looking at and working with an engineer on your front monuments. I believe I mentioned this in the past also. We do have some pricing on putting that out to bid now. The monuments are when you enter Lakeridge, those 3 large walls. They've seen their time now. They need some repair and replacement, so that's something that's in the works right now, along with the stone veneer around your buildings, your clubhouse and annex. There are times where the engineers can take pieces of that and do kind of a report on it. They study it a little bit. The Lakeridge is beyond that a little bit. There is some water damage. There's damp. We've had some breaks in the veneer. So the board is going to look at that also. We've just gotten some numbers to look at that. Someone had suggested a month or so ago about CPR. Aaron is in talks with EMS from Toms River to offer the program here in Lakeridge. So if you're interested, look for information for that. Our awning, the infamous pool awning, will go up in October. I'm kidding. It may be after the pool is closed, unfortunately. We're not quite sure. Everybody is claiming, chain supply and labor, and so I think the board will make a decision. Does it go up this year, or do we just save it for next year and put it up brand new? But we still don't have a date for installation. And also the fountain in the large pond. You'll notice there's only one fountain. Now, that fountain's been out for quite some time. They believe there is a, some sort of, not a rebate, but the repairs may be able to be covered. So the fountain itself goes to Great Blue, who services your ponds, and then it goes to the manufacturer. So it's with the manufacturer right now. We don't have a date for that to come back in also. And fishing. You know, I see people out there fishing all the time and thought, there was no fishing derby this year, but should the pond be stocked with fish? Great Blue says no, right now it's not recommended. There's dissolved oxygen, the water temperature exceeds 80 degrees at times, and for anything from the hatcheries to come in, it'd be a shock to their system and mortality. So we certainly don't want that. We'll keep an eye on it for next year. That's my report.
Thank you, Michelle. The business portion of this meeting is now adjourned. I hope you can hear me. I'm having a little trouble with it. Okay, I'm sorry, Michelle forgot something. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, just quickly, we did get an email from the person that was overseeing the discussion group that it has disbanded.
The discussion group has disbanded.
What discussion? What discussion?
There was a discussion group. That's right. The discussion group and